Broncos country, how's everybody doing today? Quinshon Judkins. He is the first round pick for our Denver Broncos this year, or at least I'm going to be making the case for it in this video, as opposed to somebody, hey, that I would still be thrilled with, that I've been on the TreyVeon Henderson train, obviously, with him really since the fall. But after diving in a little bit deeper, I think that there's a compelling argument to make for Quinshon Judkins being drafted by the Broncos instead of TreyVeon Henderson. And of course, this is with the caveat that Ashton Genty, as well as Omarion Hampton, are not available when the Broncos pick at 20. But I'm going to give you the case for why Judkins should be selected not only above TreyVeon Henderson, but with the Broncos' first round pick. Of course, y'all like, subscribe, join the chat, all of that. If you guys want exclusive access to the best college football cut-ups, game film, all 22, check out Guru Film Room. And my Discord link is in the description. Would love for you to join that. Hey, what's going on? Victory lap. What's going on? Kodiak, Broncos, Jello, knees, plus Quinshon equals fire. So, got a few points that I'm going to make. Let's go ahead and dive into them. First, let's start with the injury history, okay? And I guess as I'm pulling this up, I'll say, guys, the difference between these two is in terms of like ability and talent, very, very similar. It's the details, I think, that make a difference. And let's talk about injury history and age. Quinshon Judkins will be turning 22 on October 29th, and he has had great durability throughout his time at Ole Miss and Ohio State. He underwent a minor procedure on his hand earlier this year, did not miss any time, okay? Happened during the bye week. He has been incredibly durable. Again, right now, only 21.3 years old. When we take a look at TreyVeon Henderson, there is kind of a red flag that pops up. Not only is he really essentially a year older than Judkins, so he'll turn 23 during the season, where Judkins will turn 22. But he did break his foot in 2022, had to end up going with surgery to repair that. But I think the biggest thing that speaks to this hopefully not being an issue in his NFL career is the fact that he just had an incredible season this year at Ohio State, 2 years removed now from that injury. So that's something to keep in mind. You know, foot injuries, they can limit the longevity of guys, especially at the running back position in the NFL. He's already broken his foot. That is something to keep in mind here. Now, let's continue on. Let's pull up just how these guys were used a little bit. And honestly, I don't know if I have this open right now by the Broncos, but okay, if you're talking about a zone runner or a gap runner, right? The Broncos zone rushes to gap rushes in 2023 was 1.29. So for every 1.29 zone rushes, there was a gap rush. So they were doing slightly more zone running than gap. Okay. This past year, that increased even more to where it was just a little bit over 1.33 zone rushes to gap rushes. I think Sean Payton is still wanting to find a good zone runner. Now, I think both of these guys can be really good zone runners. When we take a look at TreyVeon Henderson, his zone grade was 79.7, gap grade 91.4. Yeah, sure. I think that's awesome. When we take a look at Quinshon Judkins, 85.2 zone grade with an 83.8 gap grade. Interesting. So maybe not always giving you as much in gap as TreyVeon Henderson could, but you're also getting a little bit more zone of that vision, that patience with Quinshon Judkins. Also, when you look at how they're utilized, I think that this is quite interesting and telling to an extent. Let's go ahead and pull up just the rushing direction for both of these guys. Give me 1 second. So When we look at TreyVeon Henderson right here, his most efficient runs, this is pretty interesting, of course, is on like that, super wide stuff, jet sweeps, 1 for 19, 1 for 22. We'll disregard those. He was very explosive out of the left guard gap right there, that B gap, 11.3 yards per attempt. That's fantastic. He had 10 runs or 5 runs for over 10 yards. It's really, really great. But then after that, you see a lot of his utilization was used outside, with the left tackle, outside, the tight ends as well. So going wide. And we definitely need a runner that can hit those wide zones, most definitely. But we also need the Broncos also need a guy that can run up the gut, that can run in those close gaps by the center, right? That can be a short yardage back for us. And Quinshon Judkins was more of that guy than TreyVeon Henderson was this year. And when we take a look at what Judkins was doing, his most efficient attempts were coming, from the inside, that running off the right guard, running off the middle right, off of the center, those A, B gaps, the left guard. He still had a 5.4. It's not the 11 point whatever that Henderson averaged out of that gap, but he had quite a handful more attempts out of that lane as well. And still had plenty of rushes going to the outside. Again, both of these guys are very, very good. It's just about figuring out who might be the more ideal fit for the offense, who might give you a little bit more versatility. And I think that Quinshon Judkins, he can give you a little bit more of that versatility. He can be the guy to get those tough yards inside, short down and distances. He's got a little bit better of a zone grade, which I find interesting. And when we take a look at pass protection, you might say, well, TreyVeon Henderson is amazing in pass protection. Yes, the scouts, the experts, they say that Quinshon Judkins does have to improve his form and consistency quite a bit. But when we look at how he performed throughout the year, it was definitely a passing grade. It wasn't anything concerning. Allowed 2 pressures and no sacks, no hits on 177 blocks this past year. When you take a look at TreyVeon Henderson in this category, it was very similar, but of course he had a lot more blocking attempts, about 130 more, 301 pass attempts, gave up no sacks, no hits, and only 3 hurries / pressures. So definitely was a little bit more efficient, but none of these guys, I think both of them each had 1 penalty on the year. So both of these guys were quite effective in pass protection. And I just want to harp a little bit on the size as well. No, I don't know if size is as huge of an issue at the running back position as it is with, some other positions. But I do think that Quinshon Judkins' size, as well as his burst, is something that Sean Payton's going to take notice of. So yes, TreyVeon Henderson, 5'10", has a really nice base. He's small enough to where he can kind of fit through some of those more narrow gaps and make guys miss. He can be hard to track down. Carries enough weight at 208 to where he can show durability, I think, in the NFL. But as much as TreyVeon Henderson is a threat, if you dump it outside to him or you get him moving in space on the outside, which is what I think you want to do, right? Quinshon Judkins' size and frame is also very appealing. 6 foot, 219 pounds, and the dude can run routes. Like he might not be as huge of a threat in the passing game as probably somebody like TreyVeon Henderson, but at 6 foot, 220 pounds, you can motion him out wide, and he's like a legitimately sized wide receiver at 6 feet, 220 pounds. You can motion him into the slot to where he can become a hell of an issue at that size as well. When we look at what they were doing in the receiving game, Quinshon Judkins, 22 targets, 161 yards, 7.3 yards per reception. That's great. Average depth of target was like 0.6, but that's how it is for running backs. When we take a look at TreyVeon Henderson in the receiving game, he had 4 more receptions, 26 receptions for 281 yards. Yes, much higher yards per reception at 10.8 and an average depth of target at 1.7. So he was consistently being targeted downfield more, but you can find plays that Quinshon Judkins is making to where he's running downfield, he's running fades, he's running quick outs. You can find those things, but I don't think he was fully utilized to his potential at Ohio State because you also had another potential first-round pick in TreyVeon Henderson in that backfield with him. So let's continue on here. I think too, again, to harp on like how these guys were used, I wanted to hit on this as well. 64 zone attempts here for TreyVeon Henderson, 77 gap. When we take a look at Judkins, 82 zone attempts, 111 gap attempts. Like he was utilized quite a bit more just in terms of attempts, honestly. I think that Judkins, if you ever would need him to be a workhorse, I think he does profile to be that. I don't know if TreyVeon Henderson necessarily does. And with his broken foot injury, again, these are just little things that can make a difference at the highest level in the NFL. And I guess this comes down to, well, let's get to the testing preference, but I wanted to hit on this. So yeah, let's just go ahead and look at 40-yard dash time. Okay. A lot of fast running backs coming out this year, right? You see here, TreyVeon Henderson ran a 4.43 40. Now, Quinshon Judkins ran a 4.48 40. So just 0.05, so 500ths of a second slower with being, 10, 12 pounds heavier. When you look at his 10-yard split, which is a really good measure of just quick explosion, acceleration, getting up to your top speed as quickly as possible. I find this interesting. Quinshon Judkins had a 1.51 10-yard split, 200ths of a second slower than the top guy, Bashul Tutin. Guys like Trevor Etienne, Donovan Edwards, these guys are speedy backs. He's right up with them. He even had a faster 10-yard split than Jaden Blue. And as you can see, TreyVeon Henderson by 100ths of a second. But also just some other really good running backs did not show this amount of explosion out the gate. Very, very interesting, right? So he might not have the long speed that some of these guys have. But when we're talking about the NFL, I think it's just very, very important that you're hitting those holes as quickly as possible, that you're reaching your top gear as quickly as possible. And I think that there's some evidence to show that in a Denver Broncos Sean Payton running system, I think that Quinshon Judkins might be able to benefit or be a better benefit for the Broncos because of his versatility and being a slightly more explosive back off the line than TreyVeon Henderson. Again, this is a guy that you can have in the game on all 3 downs. In my opinion, I don't really think he has a weak area in his game. Now, does he have a truly elite characteristic like TreyVeon Henderson's just gameplay or game-breaking ability when you get him the ball outside? No. But he's very, very fast. He's very explosive. He can still make guys miss quite a bit, and he allows you to run some of that power stuff as well, and he can be that short yardage back. I think he has good vision, and again, you see with how he was used at Ohio State, he was used in those in those closer gaps by the center, by the guard, more often than not than TreyVeon Henderson was. And I think that could translate a little bit more to what Sean Payton is wanting to do. Again, you can still use him on the outside. And lastly, when you just want to talk about, well, hey, Quinshon Judkins, maybe he isn't, he's not the top back in the draft, right? It's Ashton Genty, but you can still get a really nice complimentary. Like, say you want that guy with just game breaking straight line speed once you get him the ball with some space, right? Uh, there are plenty of guys that you can draft in the middle rounds, late in the draft, that I think that can give you that. So I just did a couple like quick mock drafts to show, like, hey, if we were to go in this direction, what might things possibly look like? Yeah, how about focusing on offense, going Quinshon Judkins, Alec Ioman, or Terrence Ferguson in the first 3 rounds, then going with Broughton out of Texas on defense, and then in the 6th round, grabbing a very elusive, speedy back like Jordan James. Now, I guess Quinshon Judkins ran a faster 40 than him, but again, times aren't everything, man. I still think Jordan James definitely has that straight line speed. And then finishing off with Miles Frazier, Cameron Jackson. I had another one here that I did where ended up going Judkins, Mason Taylor, Jalen Royals, and then drafting a big time receiving back with previous wide receiver experience in Brashard Smith, and finishing out with Broughton, Jake Majors, and Ty Robinson. But yeah, I think that there are some things, again, to summarize, that are really going in Quinshon Judkins' favor. One, I like the fact that he's younger. Two, I like the fact that he's been much more durable and has never had a serious injury, such as a broken foot. Three, I love that he gives you a little bit more versatility because of his size and frame. You can put him outside, split him out wide. You can put him out in the slot. Again, he's 6 feet, 220 pounds. He gives you versatility. You can run him outside, you can run him inside, and he was the short yardage back for Ohio State throughout most of the year. Yeah, he's a guy I think that does everything well, and he's still plenty elusive. I think he still has plenty of speed, and even his 10-yard split would suggest that he might be quicker off the line than TreyVeon Henderson is, even if it's just 5/100ths of a second. So I think that summarizes all the points that I was going to make. I do think ideally, what could happen is the Broncos could trade back from 20. Maybe you go back a few spots to 23 or to 25, and you take him there. But this is also one thing that I was wanting to talk about, where you might not think that, okay, these guys are worth first-round picks. I think Cecil and Mace brought this up the other day. How about we start the run on running backs instead of being able or being forced to pick a guy that we're not just totally all about, right? You don't want to be on the end of the running back run come pick 51. You would rather be one starting it. And again, I still feel like you can get plenty good, tight end weapons. Wide receiver, maybe not as much. Wide receiver's fairly thin. But I still think that this would leave you with plenty of flexibility to add talent to the offense in rounds 2 and 3. And if you were to trade back, maybe you get an extra 3rd and 4th round pick or something like that. And you can use that to go after and get a guy like Bashul Tutin with one of those extra picks. So I guess that could also be done in the case of TreyVeon Henderson. You could draft a guy to complement him in the mid round, such as Damian Martinez. But again, if we're going to be spending a first round pick on a running back, it's these little things that matter. And give me the younger guy, the bigger guy, and the guy without serious injury history. So that's the argument for Quinshon Judkins. Hopefully that makes sense. But victory lap, you're absolutely right. Quinshon Judkins is definitely a joker. Yes, has tremendous speed. And I think it would be fun seeing him put in the slot. No doubt about it. So I'll get to a few of your comments. Please be sure to smash that like, subscribe, and join my Discord, my Broncos Discord. It's like the greatest thing on earth. I'm terrible at responding to DMs, to emails, to all that stuff. But you can reach me in the Broncos Discord. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. All right, let's get to some of these comments. CDG. As an Ohio State fan, I'd rather have Hampton if we are using our first round pick. Yeah, I haven't thought about comparing Quinshon Judkins to Omari and Hampton. I'm still like trying to figure out like how I prefer or like what my running back order is, so to speak. But this argument is made um, with the idea that Ashton Genty and Omari and Hampton are already off the board come pick 20. But yeah, Hampton's a beast. And I like his play style, no doubt about it. D-Rock seems to be a fan of Judkins. Let's freaking go. Charlie Carney says, I've been saying Judkins is the best back in the draft. Look at his stacked box run percentage. Where can I find that? Let's go find it. Where is a stacked box run percentage? Rushing. Does PFF not show this stuff? Come on now. Googling this. Dude, I'm not seeing anything pop up on this. I need to learn how to use PFF better. Anyways, if you guys know what those stats are, stacked box run percentage, let me know. I thought PFF had this stuff on here. They got missed tackles, yards after contact. That seems to be like a pretty important stat that you'd want to have on here for like the advanced stats. What the heck? Carries of 15 plus yards. Quinshon Judkins had 17. How many did TreyVeon have? 21. Oh, this is interesting. Yards per route run, 1.18. I think Judkins will probably be a little bit lower. But, I mean, still very, very good, 1.13. So, again, I feel like he's definitely more efficient. Or not more efficient, but he's just as fine in the passing game, I think. Yeah, I don't know where his stack box percentage is. What the heck, PFF? But if you guys find that, let me know. Celestino Torres, what's up, Dave? Talk to me. Sorry I missed your first little bit of your show. I'm at attention now, though. Hey, appreciate it. I'm just, I'm flip flopping all the time. I put on a video throughout the fall about how, everybody's talking about Quinshon Judkins, but TreyVeon Henderson is really the guy. If you're wanting a guy that can just, break a game open, he's that type of guy. But now I'm wondering, man, is the TreyVeon Henderson hype going a little bit too far to where we're discounting Judkins? It was talked about how Judkins would be that first round pick. TreyVeon would be a guy you could get a round later. But now it seems like, hey, TreyVeon might go a round earlier than Judkins. I don't know if that's how it should be. These guys should probably be drafted close to one another, and it's really just based on personal preference of these coaching staffs. But guys, I'm pretty easy to please. Like last year, if we drafted, 4 of those 6 different quarterbacks, I was going to be really, really happy. That's kind of how I feel about this running back room. Let's just get a couple guys. It's going to take a lot for me not to be happy about any of these running back selections with how bad our running game has been the last couple of years. Wow, all I'm seeing is Bashul Tootin propaganda. Hey, man, Tootin would be great. Draft him, 4th round. That would be quite interesting with somebody like Judkins. You got so much speed. You still got Audric Estime as that bruiser type of guy. I know Mile High Mario brought up the idea of moving him to fullback. Hey, how about he's a fullback and a running back? I think that would be cool. Now, Victory Lap. This is something that I think would be really cool. This is probably how it would happen. You trade back from 20, a certain amount of spots. You pick up some picks. So you have a later first round pick And then you can use some of those extra picks to move back up in the second round. And that's how you just keep the same tandem going. Then we already have the Sonic and Knuckles from Ohio State coming out here. We can just keep the same tandem with the Broncos. I love that idea. I would be thrilled. Hey, am I going too far to say that if we get both of these guys, we're in Super Bowl contention window like right now? I think it would be a lot of fun victory lap. I'm not opposed to it. My dream scenario: Colston Loveland, Quinshon Judkins, get a cornerback, a wide receiver, a defensive tackle, and a center. Yes, I would love to get another interior lineman in here, no doubt about it. Thoughts on Desmond Watson with our last 6th round pick? He's bigger than your mother. Just kidding. But yeah, I mean, he probably is. I mean, he's like 450 pounds. Sure. Now, could you possibly get that guy in like the 7th round? Yeah, I think so. But it, again, guys, these are 6th round picks. Unless we're using a 6th round pick on a punter, which honestly, even I can even get behind that right now. They're 6th round picks. I'm just not going to be getting my panties in a wad about any sort of selection that we make with a 6th round pick, just because those odds of those guys ever becoming starters are usually pretty slim to none. But yeah, hopefully they can contribute in some ways. So Rito Gamer saying with our first round is pick is crazy. Why not Omarion Hampton? Because he's already gone in this scenario, Rito. He's already gone. A lot of people think Genty and Hampton could go, in the top 15. Definitely the top. Well, I guess we pick in the top 20, so maybe Omarion Hampton could be there. But in this scenario, this is if it's like, dang, Raiders draft Genty, Bears draft, or Cowboys draft Omarion Hampton at like 10 or 12 or wherever they're at. So what do we do? Hey, if Sean Payton identifies that, hey, these guys, whether it's Henderson or Judkins, somebody like that, they absolutely change the dynamic of the offense. Even if you feel like they might be drafted a little high, man, who cares? Who cares? We're going to judge them based off of their production. And there were some people that thought, guys, remember, it's almost a year ago since some people were memeing us for drafting Bo Nix at 12. Because, you could have traded back, or you took the 6th quarterback off the board. Like, you're a joke. Well, nah. If this running back class truly is as great as everybody's talking about it, I think we could very well see more than 2 running backs go in the first round. Yeah. Man, I'm just here to spread Desmond Watson two-way Joker propaganda. Yeah, the man can take some handoffs, right? He can be like our refrigerator Perry. I think that would be really, really cool. Now, there are some like other guys that I think could be interesting picks in the 6th round. Guys, I was doing a little bit of research on this because we signed that punter that's like, I bet we signed him for like a vet minimum. Matt Hack, I think is his name. Maybe we bring in a rookie to compete with him because, I mean, he'll probably have better numbers because of the altitude out here, like no doubt about it. But again, it's a fine punter signing, but we should probably bring in some competition for him. So these are a couple of guys on PFF's draft board that I have seen as being guys that could possibly be drafted. This Jeremy Crenshaw guy from Florida. 6'3", 205. We don't have any snaps or stats, but this guy, James Burnett, he's a 6'6" punter. So he's got to be pretty good. So maybe we draft one of those guys in the 6th round. I haven't seen anything about this Luke Elzinga guy from Oklahoma. But if we were to draft a kicker or a punter, my guess is that it's going to be one of these guys. And again, it's not like super ideal, but hey, if you think he can beat out Matt Hack, and then you have him cost controlled on like not only a rookie deal, but a like a day 3 rookie deal, sure. But I would prefer to use our 6th round picks on other things. But you won't find me complaining on that. Now, too, if we do go with like TreyVeon Henderson, let's just say we do that, we could still get in, some nice complementary backs to that maybe could help in the short game running a little bit more in between the tackles, the NFL level. A guy that Mario has talked a lot about, Rocket Sanders from South Carolina. He's a guy that you could get day 3 and is probably a little bit more explosive, honestly, than Audric Estime. But I'm not out on Audric Estime. I mean, the man's like, what, 21 years old right now? He was 20 last year. Still plenty of time to get better. Now, the Raiders and Cowboys do weird shit. They might fall to us at 20. Didn't Bucky Brooks, I think it was, had Ashton Genty falling to us in his new mock draft at number 20? If that's the case, you can throw this video in the garbage because I think it would be awesome to take Ashton Genty. And it'd be quite ironic because, I was trying to spread all this anti-Ashton Genty propaganda during the college football season because my guy, Travis Hunter, definitely deserved the Heisman, but don't get it twisted. I love Broncos staying Broncos. And Ashton Genty in a Broncos uniform coming up here from Boise State, falling in the same footsteps as Ryan Clady. I think that would be really, really awesome. We need a veteran star running back presence in the locker room. So, D-Rock, I'm guessing you're on team sign Nick Chubb or J.K. Jello Knees Dobbins, but does he count as a star running back? I don't know. Let me know. Who's your veteran of choice to bring into this room? I would also like to bring in a veteran. Again, I don't want to force any of these rookies out there. Let's say, for some reason, our rookie backs, they're struggling with pass protection. We want a veteran out there that can at least get that job done. No victory lap. You're absolutely right about this. Estime is in the doghouse. This man was inactivated for Tyler Bidet. It made no sense, from our perspective. That's the only way to make sense of it. But he does have a full off season to get himself out the doghouse. I think he's incredibly intelligent. Obviously, you got to be smart. You got to be sharp to go to Notre Dame. Right? Incredibly physically gifted too. But yeah, is he going to do those little things right that it seems to have lost trust with Sean Payton right now? Yay. This is a great point. Marvin Mims was in the doghouse, and now look at him. Now Marvin Mims, we don't even complain about Marvin Mims. Now we need to start the Marvin Mims Tyreek Hill 2.0 agenda. That's what we need to start. Troy Franklin believer right here. I'm an A.T. Perry stan. I'm still going to be pushing A.T. Perry. Now, why couldn't he get on the field if he was mossing everybody in practice? I don't know. I wonder if that's true, but I'm willing to give A.T. Perry another preseason. Now, if Michael Bandy is playing ahead of you in this year's preseason, A.T. Perry, man, you're making me look like a fool. I was guaranteeing that this man was going to be activated at some point throughout the season. And we still saw little Jordan Humphrey out there. Exactly. A.T. who? A.T. Perry, 5 touchdowns as a rookie in 2023. Cut by the Saints because they're idiots. But maybe he was cut for some other reason. I don't know. Rito saying, I'm very excited about Brashard Smith. I honestly think getting TreyVeon in the first, then Brashard in the later rounds. So we got one speedster, one bruiser, and one joker running back. Yes, with Audric Estime, that would be a lot of fun. And you sign a veteran running back or Jaleel, you could keep him. I think we will keep 4 running backs on the active roster. And by the way, guys, if we're going to be extending the season at some point here soon to 18 games, which is just ridiculous, there needs to be multiple bye weeks. Surely that will be a thing. But also, can we please expand the roster size to like 60? Or can we please expand at least to like 57? I hate the constraints of a 53-man roster in an NFL season that's going 17, 18 games. And then you got to play 4 playoff games unless to go to the Super Bowl, unless you're that first seed. So you're playing 22 games with a 53-man roster. I don't like it. Yeah, bringing in Nick Chubb. Yeah, we could show them how to handle the pressure of the league or the fall from stardom. Yeah, yeah, that would be great. And exactly, victory lap, because people want to complain about the how bad the quarterback play is and all this stuff, and very rarely do teams keep three quarterbacks on the active roster now. And a guy that we could draft maybe in the sixth round or sign as a UDFA that maybe could become that next Taysom Hill is a guy like Cam Miller. With the 53-man roster, a guy like Cam Miller, I think it's just going to be a luxury that we can't quite afford to have a guy like that on the roster at this point. But I think it would be better for quarterback development. Zach Seegers, when he was on the Mic'd Up Live show earlier this week, go check out that whole episode, but definitely check out the end when Zach spoke about bringing back NFL Europe. Like, this is the time to do it. There's been so much growth with the game in Europe. It probably doesn't make sense to have a bunch of international teams in the NFL, but especially when you're seeing like all these spring leagues kick up, over the last 10 years or so. I think that there could be a place for it. And Zach made a tremendous argument for it. I haven't heard any of the talking heads talk about NFL Europe. Man, guys like Rich Eisen need to find Zach's take and start, piggybacking on that, because I think that would be really cool to see guys play in NFL Europe. Maybe NFL teams still retain their rights for the regular season, that type of thing. I think it would be really cool. BK saying Judkins is good. Trey is a better fit, though. All right. Yeah, I imagine that I was probably going to be a little bit in the minority with this argument right here, but it seems like we got a handful of Judkins supporters in here, which is very cool. But BK, hey, give me one or two, quick reasons why you like TreyVeon better as a fit. Yeah, just having more guys on the roster would be awesome. If Luther Burden is available, hey, Luther Burden be a lot of fun. Matthew Golden, that seems to be all the hype right now for the Broncos. Maybe he's even going ahead of Tet McMillan now. Who knows? Now Tet McMillan, man, ain't the best route runner. I hate how his best games by far were against like way lower competition. Very rarely do athletes like that come out, though. And let's say Matthew Golden's off the board. Do you go with Tet McMillan? Can you teach him to run routes? That's going to be interesting. All right, guys. I got to start wrapping up here. Let me go ahead and answer a few more of these comments here. Y'all be sure, again, to like, subscribe, join my freaking Discord in the description of the chat. You get a month free, and it's with all my favorite Broncos content creators and fans. What are you guys waiting on? And then it's a cup of coffee after that to keep everything running. Okay? Not that, anyways, it's just to keep out all the trolls. Yeah, we can't go wrong with either. You're absolutely correct. It's just about what do you prefer? Yeah, and Emeka Buka could be awesome. And exactly, victory lap. That's why you go and get both. Now, it would suck to miss out on some of like other receivers and whatnot, but who cares? That would just be a lot of fun. It's a bold strategy to take. Let's be bold. Let's see how it goes. BK, he reminds me of Alvin Kamara in the passing game. TreyVeon, hey, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. You can always sell me on Alvin Kamara. It's so awesome having more needs in the first round than desperately wanting a certain positional player. Oh, yeah. And just doesn't it suck to be a Steelers fan right now? The quarterback purgatory is the worst spot you could ever be in. Just the worst spot. I'm so thankful we are not in need of a quarterback in this year's draft. Oh, man, I'm wondering, guys, will the 2024 NFL draft quarterback class be the same as like the 1983 one? Is that too crazy to say that it might end up being that kind of level? Be a lot of fun. Feel like a lot of people are sleeping on our receivers. I feel like Sutton's a good vet. We just need young guys to develop, in my opinion. Yeah. Yeah. Troy Franklin, he had one of the highest rates of yards of separation throughout the entire NFL last year, which is interesting because there were games where none of our guys could get open, where we running Lil Jordan Humphrey out there more than he should probably. But yeah, I'm still a believer in Troy Franklin. We took Troy Franklin in the 4th round knowing this man was a project. He fell the 4th round because he was a project. Let's see him take a Marvin Mims type leap. Oh, man. Yeah. My cousin's a Niners fan. He's sick. You're about to be in quarterback purgatory if you're not paying Brock Purdy $45-50 million, which is just insane. Yeah, my wife's uncle down here is a Niners fan, and yeah, he ain't happy either. And Evan Ingram, yeah, he's gonna change. He's gonna change the whole offense, man. And imagine when we got some real weapons coming out of the backfield. So, guys, I got to get out of here again. Thank you so much for joining in. Let me know on the replay, Judkins or Henderson. You got to choose one of them. Let me know. Go Broncos.